Space Coconut.
Okay, so today we're going to talk about Mindbreaker. Mindbreaker is a Demogorgon perk, comes with the Stranger Things DLC, or just the Demogorgon if you buy it for 500 Auric cells, which is $5. That's what I ended up doing. I didn't actually buy the whole DLC, because why? Alright, so Mindbreaker says, your distressing presence drains and weakens your prey. While repairing generators with less than 50% repair progression, survivors are afflicted by the exhausted status effect. Any existing exhausted status effect timers are paused while the survivor is repairing a generator. After ending the repair action, the survivor is afflicted by the exhausted status effect for 3 seconds. Now, the reason I'm using this with the Wraith is mainly because I want to see if it works with him being sneaky. If he comes up to a gen, he's the only killer that one of the only killers that can come up to a, it might work with the pig. But they come up, sneak up to a gen the survivor's working on, and then, with her ambush or his swing or whatever, they can't sprint burst away right away. Maybe this will work better on the pig. I just don't have it unlocked for her. If you happen to give it a shot, let me know how that would work out. But this will prevent them from using any of their exhausted status effects for 3 seconds from leaving the generator, only up until it's been repaired up to 50%. Now, this effect only lasts for 3 seconds, which means the only perk this affects is Sprint Burst. Maybe Lithe if they're in an LT wall or something like that, but no. It doesn't affect Dead Hard because A, they're probably not injured already. May not be. If they are, there's no guarantee that the generator is going to be below 50%. Any number of things. Balanced landing, they're probably not on a high thing repairing a generator. Anyway, Sprint Burst is the only the only reliable perk that this would affect. Because the idea is to sneak up on the generator and sneak up on the survivor and then get them before they can Sprint Burst away. That's it. And it doesn't even do it that well. In order to help use Mindbreaker, I swapped this out so we can actually get some use out of it, so the survivors have a chance to leave the generator before I hit them. But we're going to use the Bone Clapper where they can hear the ringing of the bell at any distance. But the goal of the other perks is to help delay to slow them down from getting up to 50%. That's the main idea, because once they get past 50%, the perk is completely useless. So we're gonna play a couple of matches with this, and we'll see how this goes. I have older matches from today, but I'm gonna try this setup instead. So let's see what Mindbreaker does, shall we? Wretched Shop. Okay, we're playing with Mindbreaker, and we're going to see how this goes. We don't care if we win or lose. We're just going to keep track of how often Mindbreaker helps us during this match. This is also Auto Haven, so I don't have any chance to sneak up on him. So that is a problem too. Okay, let's test this out. Okay, that might have triggered because he waited a little bit. She knows I'm coming, so we're not going to bother. He ran to the jungle gym. He knows I'm here. Lucky! He scared the crap out of me. We're gonna get him. We're gonna take care of that other gen where Meg was. Scratch marks. Oh, it was done. Can't use it. Balanced. That's too bad. I do have a popped. Oh, that was a mistake, wasn't it? Okay. Basement? Basement. Okay, let's find a gen. We don't know which one to use. Should break this. No. I can't tell. Nope. Yep. Surprise! We also hit him before he left the generator, so Mindbreaker didn't come into play there. Did you think I ran away? Sorry, dude. Okay. And the other gens are getting finished. They're probably past 50%. And I also don't know which ones are being worked on right now. Next gen. Nice. Mega's over there also, so we don't have to worry about this. This gen was almost finished. What's up, dude? Oh, I got him to drop it. That's good. Somebody's over there. They're gonna finish it. Shoot him back. Wait for it, I guess? Or consider it lost, I guess? So 2 gens are lost. So it doesn't really matter at that point. This poor guy. Sorry, guy. The matchmaking needs to be fixed. This guy shouldn't be in a match with me. So that one's still regressing. That's good. That means the other gens are being worked on. It's probably the other one. And I couldn't do anything about that. Is yellow, so stretch marks. Yeah, that one's lost. she has balanced. That's right. Justice. Now the other gen's gonna get finished, and the game's basically over. And Mindbreaker served no purpose. Actually, let's take a look at that. Yep. And that was over 50%. Ah, that lunge wasn't nearly as cool as I thought. And all the gens are finished. Mindbreaker no longer has any use. Actually, if you think about it, it didn't have any use 50% of a gen ago. Yeah, I may as well. It's gonna rescue the Twitch streamer. And they had adrenaline, so that makes sense. Now we'll just wait for the rescue. In the block. I'll just get him up for some points. That's funny. Nope. Didn't think so. Just once, huh? Okay, so to be expected, Mindbreaker is bad. But let's talk about why. So, this only works if a generator is under 50%. It takes a single survivor 80 seconds to complete a generator, which means it reaches 50% in 40 seconds. Now, worst case scenario, right? All 4 survivors are on 4 different generators. And ideally, if you're not somebody who needs to set something up ahead of time, like the Trapper or the Hag, you will find one survivor within 40 seconds. Okay? So, one survivor finishes a gen in 80 seconds. It takes them 40 seconds to get to 50%. If 2 survivors are on one generator, that's 44.44 seconds, which brings it down to about 22 seconds before, they reach the 50% point. 3 survivors, 33 seconds. Then that goes up to what? 16 and a half seconds. Okay. If 4 survivors are on a generator, you need to get there within 15 seconds. Otherwise, the gen is finished before you get there. Or they even then they get past 50% before it does anything. So you have 40, 22, 17 seconds-ish, and 14 seconds. I did my math wrong. So 14 seconds at the least. 14, 17, 22, and 40 seconds to capitalize on this perk per generator. Now, a lot happens during a match, and there's no way of telling that, but that alone should be enough to be a red flag as to the quality of this perk. Now, the second problem, killer side, is that every killer has a terror radius. Once a survivor who hears your terror radius and sees that they have the exhausted status effect, because they have the exhaustion status effect, and you're advertising, you're hand-holding them, letting them know that, hey, you're under the effect of this thing, they're going to see that they have the status effect. They're going to know that they're under the effect of Mindbreaker because they're working on a gen, and they haven't used their exhaustion perk. Now, they hear your terror radius, and the killer moves at what, 4.6 meters per second? They have a terror radius of 32 meters on average, right? And so that means that on the outer edge, in a straight line, it will take, what's 32 divided by 4? 8? It'll take the killer 8 seconds to get to the generator. If the survivor leaves the generator, or at least stops working on it when they hear the terror radius, if they're under the effect of Mindbreaker, they have 8 seconds to get out of this 3-second problem, right? Because it lasts for 3 seconds after it goes away. So any killer that has a terror radius isn't really going to be able to benefit from this. The only time a survivor stays on a generator is when it's almost finished. So then what's the point of limiting this to 50%? What's the reason? It's dumb. So the second side is because of the survivors. The only perks that this affects is balanced landing, dead hard, head on, lithe, and sprint burst. Now, the only generator that's on a second level that's affected, that somebody could escape using balanced landing, is Coal Tower. That's the first one that I can think of that has an immediate drop off. By the time they hear the heartbeat, they move over to the window. They let go of the gen. They move over to the doorway to drop off. By the time the killer reaches high enough on the stairs and they decide to jump off and bail, that 3 seconds is already up. Then balanced landing will kick in. Dead hard, the survivor isn't going to use dead hard right off of a generator. If they're not even injured, they're just going to take the hit, right? They're going to start running regardless. They start running if they're injured, and they leave before the killer gets there because they don't want to get hit while they're injured, and they're going to use their dead hard when they need it. So by the time they need it, 3 seconds has already passed. Head on, if they're in a locker, it takes 3 seconds to activate. So regardless of how fast the survivor leaves the generator and goes into a locker, the exhaustion will wear off and head on will be able to activate. Lithe is the only other perk, but if the survivor is in an LT wall, they can run the loops around it before using Lithe while they're running off their exhaustion, the 3 seconds that it activates. By the time they do 1 or 2 loops, they can use Lithe just fine. The only perk that this really affects, the 3 seconds afterwards anyway, is Sprint Burst. The survivor will take off if they decide to do that, right after, or staying to the gen as long as they can and baiting out the swing and sprint bursting away. That is the only situation that this perk will deal with. Now, the bright side is that all those times that I mentioned in the beginning, that essentially adds a certain amount of time to a survivor's exhaustion, right? What's the recovery time, like 60 seconds, 40 seconds, something like that? I don't know. Their exhaustion recovers, and if they're on a nearly completed, or a new gen, a fresh gen, they add 40, 22, 17, and 14 seconds to their time for the exhaustion. That's, okay, I guess, but depending on how the gens lay out, depending on how the chases go, that amount of extra time and exhaustion, it does literally nothing. This perk is so situational, it's bad. I can't even tell what the goal of the perk is, what they were intending to do, what they were intending to take care of, because as a killer, we deal with head on, we deal with dead hard, balance landing, lithe, sprint burst. We just kind of suck it up and let it go, and we just continue the chase, or break off and chase somebody else, depending on the situation. Preventing their exhaustion, adding time to it under a very specific situation and condition, makes the perk less reliable and useless. This is a perk that affects the survivor without giving any benefit to the killer. When a killer takes a perk, it should help the killer specifically. And I need to finish that perk, the perk category video, and I need to finish talking about that so you understand where my mind is with this. But this perk affects survivors when perks should affect the killer. If this perk, I'm not sure what problem this perk was supposed to solve, but let's just pretend that the idea behind this perk was to make it so the survivors it extended their exhaustion timers, right? Instead, what if Mindbreaker was a on-hit perk? Okay, I don't like that this affects the survivor, but this is an alternative to what the devs have given us, right? If the killer hits the survivor, it adds a certain amount of time to their exhaustion bar. If they're almost recovered, if they have 0 exhaustion, then they gain, this little amount of exhaustion, maybe 10, 15 seconds, whatever, some small insignificant amount, but enough to be useful, right? So the killer hits the survivor gains a certain amount of exhaustion, more to what they have, or they gain exhaustion. And then boom, we kind of solve a little bit of problem. It's still bad, it's still useless, it's still very niche and very specific, but it's more useful than it currently is. I think I'd like to know what the goal was for this perk, because I really don't understand it. Yeah, I can't even think of something else Stranger Things related that we could use for this. If they wanted to affect the exhausted status effect. Yeah. No, I don't like it. It's a perk that affects the survivor, and that just makes it a bad perk. It's conditional on what the survivors are doing, so that makes it even worse. It gives no benefit directly to the killer, and so that's kind of like a 3 strikes you're out. So, unfortunately, I can't even think of a solution to this perk, because I don't know what the original goal was, and it's that bad. And the unfortunate thing is that this is the Demogorgon's best perk. It's sad. So, I'm not sure which perk study I'm doing tomorrow. It'll be a surprise. But let me know what you think of Mindbreaker. Let me know what you think, how you think it could be changed to be better. Because right now, everybody knows it's garbage. I really didn't need to make a video about this, but it's something that's fun, right? Anyway, the next one will come out tomorrow. I would just like to add that my videos of late have been doing very poorly. I don't know why. Maybe my quality is just down. Maybe YouTube is messing with some stuff. I know a lot of people are kind of having trouble, but for the 200 of you that have seen my videos and watch my videos regularly and have hit the notification bell and say hi in the morning, on every video, you know what? I appreciate you guys so much. If it weren't for you guys, I probably would have stopped doing this a long time ago. So I appreciate the support that you guys give, even if it's just, us 200 hanging out. So I appreciate you guys very, very much. And on that note, I'm going to get to work on the next video. Until tomorrow, I'll see you in the fog.